right. Hello, dear friends. Welcome to another week. Here we are in December. Amazing, right? So, second week. Let's see what's in store for us for this week because, we just want to know. We just need some guidance. So, here we go. All right. So, I pulled 3 different decks, 3 different cards within the deck. So, 9 total. So, wait till the end to hear the conclusion of the reading for the week. First deck will be Mary, Queen of Angels deck from Doreen. And the second deck is the Spirit Messages from John Holland. And third deck is the Life Purpose card. So let's see what's in store. All right. So first 3, 4, Mother Queen, for Mary, Mother Queen of Angels. All right. First card is Patience. I have a feeling this kind of came up last week of really understanding yourself in a very different way. Of really understanding that you're surrounded by this gate, right? Just imagine yourself as this unicorn, but you're surrounded by this gate. And again, it's time for you to know, to have patience. The things around you, right, are growing. You are growing. And soon enough, you're going to understand that you can actually jump over that fence. You're not ready yet, right? You're still learning. You're still kind of understanding what's happening. But you're a unicorn. You're very unique. You are 1 in 7 billion. So definitely take that into consideration, right? What are you, while you're in this patient mode, while things are brewing, while you're waiting for your manifestations to come in, what are you learning about yourself? What are you wanting to learn about yourself? What are you wanting to change about a certain situation that you have going on right now? How do you want it to be when you come out, right? When you come out, when you jump out of the fence, out of this burden, out of this entrapment that you might feel? How do you want to feel outside of it, right? The world is vast. It's very grand. Where are you going to go first? Right? So kind of thinking of imagining what it would be like when you do get that thing that you manifested, right? And it's not to say think or stay in the future, but it's to take a moment to really reflect on where are you at right now and what do you want? Where do you want to be? And what can you learn in the meantime while you are patient and also learning to be very patient? All right, second card is Trust. Okay. I feel like this message came out before as well, right? So trusting that everything is working out, trusting that I know it feels funny right now, right? Like everyone's feeling it. Everywhere in the world, everyone's feeling this. It's not just us here in the States or here, California and wherever you may be. Everyone is feeling it. Okay, but just understand you're under this cloak. You are under the protection of your guides, right? Of your beautiful ancestors, of angels, of your ascended masters, anyone who you trust, who you believe in. You're under their cloak. Okay, so trust that everything's working out. All you have to do is call upon them. All right, and last card here for Mary Queen of Angels is self-respect. Okay, so honoring yourself, right? Honoring yourself in multiple ways: mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, right? And really saying, how can I take better care of myself, right? Goes back to that first card, that little unicorn in the fence. How is it going to take care of itself? How is it going to feed itself? How is it going to nourish itself in the gate? And right now, it's very much like you, right? How are you going to do that right now with what we got, with what we have, right? We might be feeling like we are in that gate, right? Because of restrictions, right, that have come into place. How are we going to still find ourselves? How are we still going to be able to honor and love ourselves during these times when we're in this gate? Okay. All right, second deck, spirit messages. All right, so first card is to reach out. Reach out. So the message, you being in this fence, right? You're still kind of waiting for things to happen, things waiting for manifestations to come through, but you're being patient in this fence, in this protective mode, right? It could be, you might consider it to be your home, right? Kind of wherever you're at, where you feel safe. How are you going to reach out to those loved ones who have passed on? Does that mean taking a time out for you to meditate? Does that mean reaching out to someone who is still here in the 3D, right? How are you going to reach out and say, hey, you know what, I need you to hear me out on something, right? You might want to call a friend and reach out and say, hey, you know what, actually, I really like your advice about this one thing, and I keep thinking about it over and over, and I just don't know how to get out of it. Can you hear me out for a minute? Do you have time to hear me out? Do you have time to, I don't know, to talk, right? How are you reaching out to people that you love? So again, that could be a 3D, and that can also be a spiritual thing. How are you reaching out to your guides, right? How are you, and that also gets a moment of strength where you get a moment to say, hey, you know what, I can't do it all by myself. I thought I could, but I just need some guidance and I need some help. So, and it's acknowledging that that's okay, that we can't always figure stuff out by ourselves, that oftentimes we need other people to help balance us out. Very important. Second card is ground yourself. Very big right now. There's a lot of shifts happening in the universe. We're all feeling it. There's a lot of things happening in, 3D, 4D, 5D, 9D, right? Like there's so many things happening. So how are we going to integrate the changes? How we can integrate and really begin to trust ourselves? How are we going to begin to add that self-respect factor into our lives? It's by grounding. How do you ground? Right? So it's being aware of the things that distract us from our purpose, from our life purpose. It's really acknowledging those things that make us feel in alignment, make us feel intuitive, right? And make us feel like we're going in the right direction. Those are things that help us ground. Sometimes being around in nature helps with that, right? You'll see a tree. A tree is beautiful, but it has all these deep, deep roots, and that keeps it grounded. So oftentimes you could do a grounding meditation. You could, go outside in nature. That's definitely a beautiful way to ground. You can also do yoga, right? There's a lot of ways you can ground, but it's really important to remember who you are, remember what you're doing, and stay in that integrity place. Oh, interesting. Okay, so third card is stay connected, which kind of plays with the reaching out, right? So it goes to say reaching out and staying connected, very important, right? They kind of go hand in hand in saying, hey, stay connected, right? Stay connected to yourself, first and foremost, especially with that grounding. Stay connected to yourself, align with yourself. What is true, what is not, right? And then it goes to say, okay, if I'm going to stay in my truth, in my trust, in my patience, how can I stay connected to myself, to my loved ones who passed on, my ancestors, my spirit guides, etc. Okay, so it's about knowing, how are you going to do that? How are you going to stay grounded? And how are you going to stay connected? Right, because there's constant messages coming in. It's a matter of us listening to our intuition. All right, so third deck is life purpose. So let's see what is going there. Nice. Abundance, infinite abundance at that. Okay, so you're supported. You might feel, again, like you're in this fence, right? You're this unicorn. You might feel like you're in the fence, but knowing that even though you're in the fence, you still have food to eat. You still can get nourished, right? So trusting that things are working out for you just the way that they're supposed to, for this bigger plan that you have no idea about, right? You might have manifested stuff, and as you're seeing, things might not necessarily be working out exactly how you wanted it, when you wanted it, because there's something bigger, because it's supposed to be all about seeing how it's connected to the universe, right? Because the universe always has a bigger plan for us all the time. We just don't necessarily know about it. So it's about trusting that that's coming in, trusting about the infinite abundance that's coming in, that's constantly supporting us all the time. All right, so second card is Oracle cards. Okay, so Oracle cards, the reason why this came up, it goes back to, okay, thank you, the connection, right? Stay connected. How are you going to stay connected to your higher self? How are you going to stay connected to all these downloads that are coming in from universe? How are you going to stay connected to your intuition, to your higher self? All right, and again, it goes back to grounding, it goes back to trusting, it goes back to self-respect. And oftentimes we get those messages, we can receive more messages through Oracle cards. And that's why you're here, because you understand that. But if you are needing a little bit more help, again, it goes back to reach out and ask for help, right? Don't feel like you have to handle everything on your own. Sometimes we need guidance. Sometimes we need Oracle card readings. Okay, so hit me up if you need it. Yeah, information's in the description, but little plug there. That was definitely not intentional. But nonetheless, it's to say, listen to yourself, especially if you need Oracle card reading. Okay. All right, and last card is books. All right, so books, super important. I definitely love books. That's why I have our book club. But at the same time, it also goes to say there's so many things that you can be doing, right? And like I said in the first card with this one, it's about what are you going to do while you're in the fence? What are you going to do while you are learning patience? What are you going to do while you are being patient? Hopefully, you're going to learn something new, right? And that goes back to books. Take a look at whatever in your life you want to learn more about. What do you want to go in depth about more? So that way you know what to look into. It might even be an Oracle card book, right? It might mean more about manifestation. It might mean a book about trust. It might mean a book about self-love, right? And self-understanding and self-appreciation, things like that. Right? Or it might mean also that you reach out to your friend and you ask to borrow a book, or you look into mediumship, right? There's so many different books out there in the world. And right now is a beautiful time to be able to do that, to really understand yourself better in a deeper way, to understand your own connection to universe, right? And to understand how are you really connecting to yourself another way. What books, what are you going to read that's really going to connect you to your higher self, that's going to connect you to something bigger than just yourself in this fence, right? In your enclosed surroundings, right? Like, what's it going to be? What does that look like? So taking a look at the cards, right? It's really about, it's all about you this week. So definitely not a focus on other people right now, especially with the energy coming in and that are about to come in for the rest of the month. Okay, so we're in really heavy energy, but for transformational purposes, just like last week, we're in transformation mode, right? So we're kind of at that end of that cocoon. If you didn't take a look at last week, definitely take a look at that, right? Because the butterfly came out, right? The transformation card came out. So we are transforming. There's kind of this little bit left, right? We're not 100% out of the cocoon to butterfly. We're still in this cocoon, last steps, which is really awesome, right? We've been through a lot. So a little bit more patience is needed, okay? Trusting that you are going to get out of this, right? You are going to get out of the cocoon. You are going to get out of this fence that you've been entrapped in. whatever your definition or your symbolism for fences in your life, take that as you want. It could be your home. It can feel like you're trapped in a relationship. It can feel like you're trapped in a work situation. Anything you can symbolically put into what a fence would be for you, take it, right? And again, if it doesn't feel like it applies to you, do not feel like it has to, because it is a general reading. If it was a very specific reading for you individually, then that would it'd be very different. So just take that into consideration. Take what is for you, what feels right, the message, and leave the rest, right? Definitely time to ground, right? Reading can also do that for you. It really takes you to a deeper part of yourself, right? It expands your mind. So when you expand your mind, it's really important to ground too, so it can be incorporated, so it can be integrated. Um, Grounding too, when it comes to that, it's about releasing a lot of these kind of like lower vibing energies, and really kind of setting them through the core of the earth, right? Kind of imagining yourself sending these things that no longer serve you into the core of the earth for them to be transmuted and changed. Okay, so think about, what are you going to release, right? What are you going to get rid of? How are you going to get out of well, not yet, right? But how are planning to get out of this eventually, of this situation you're surrounded by, right? It's definitely about patience, but kind of thinking and imagining it, what it would be like, right? What are you going to do when you do get yourself out of the situation, right? What's that going to look like? Again, back to grounding. Grounding too is really about, how are you going to connect to the core of the earth to remind yourself that you are of the earth? Because if there's so much energy too coming in, there's a lot of higher vibes coming in. It's really important to be able to anchor that, right? And especially as humans, right? We connect to both. We connect to our higher self, and we also connect to the core of the earth, our mother earth. So how can we receive those messages from above? Is definitely by grounding, right? To anchoring ourselves to be able to receive these messages often, again, from our loved ones, and from our friends, but definitely from the universe too. Okay, so a lot of abundance coming in. Take a look at that, whatever that might mean for you. There's definitely different definitions for abundance, but taking a look at that, right? Finding ways to learn about yourself in a deeper way, whether it's through oracle cards, whether it's through reading a book, something that you're really interested in doing. Okay. All right, y'all. That was the reading for the week. I definitely hope it finds you well. Take a look at past videos too, because those are really interesting and they are timeless. Okay, so any kind of reading is timeless. It's all about where you're at. All right. I wish you all the best. Take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Drink lots of water and read a great book. All right, everyone. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you all next